Batman the Animated Series is considered the best Bat cartoon due to its great fidelity when it comes to adapting comics. In addition to its excellent additions to Dark Knight lore such as Harley Quinn and Batman Beyond. This series was not only limited to adapting well-known characters such as Penguin, Two-Face and the Riddler, but also adapted very unknown characters such as Dr. Leslie Tompkins, Renee Montoya and Lucius Fox. But the story of Jason Todd and his death never they were adapted because they were too violent. Even so, the character did exist within that universe. In other videos we have mentioned that an advantage of comics is that they can expand the lore of television series that came to an end. Batman The Adventures Continue is one of those comics that, as its name suggests, is a sequel set after the end of Batman, the new animated series. But it also lets us see a little of what happened between the beginning of this series and the ending of the original cartoon, including Jason Todd's origin story and how he became the second Robin before Tim Drake arrived. Since the beginning of The Adventures Continue, Jason Todd has been present in Gotham City, but was never directly involved in the city's conflicts. Instead, he only watched as Batman, Robin, and Batgirl faced off against the likes of Lex Luthor and Deathstroke. From the beginning, it was clear that Jason was planning to get revenge on Batman for something terrible that had happened to him some time ago. Jason himself confirmed to us that it has been 4 years since he left the city, which confirms that Bruce adopted him shortly after the end of Batman, the animated series. Another proof of this is seen in the main hero's costume during the flashbacks, which is the same one he used in his first adventures, while currently he wears the costume from the new animated series. After keeping an eye on the Bat family for a while, and even warning Barbara about Deathstroke, Jason is ready to carry out his revenge. It all starts with Jason watching over the Joker after he breaks up with Harley Quinn. The clown noticed their presence and both faced each other without Batman's archenemy discovering his true identity. Bruce later arrived at the scene and recovered a gun from the crime scene. Upon investigation, he discovered that the bullets had the fingerprints of Jason Todd, who had supposedly died 4 years ago. Bruce deduced that he was the one who had been watching them for the past few weeks and decides to go find him. Tim, who had heard everything, asked him to tell him who Jason Todd was. He knew it was the second Robin, but Bruce never talked about him. Reluctantly, his mentor asked Alfred to tell him everything about Jason while he went out to find him. Pennyworth did so, and it was here that we learned what happened to Jason shortly after Dick gave up being Robin. According to Alfred's explanation, Jason and his older brother Danny were orphans. To try to make some money, Danny joined a gang known as the Wolves. In order to become part of the group, he was forced to wear a red hood and go through an initiation rite. While the others robbed a store, the one nicknamed Red Hood would keep watch in case the police showed up. Being in full view, the boy risked being captured, but when the officers arrived, Danny tried to escape and fell from the 3rd floor, dying instantly. Bruce watched everything, but failed to save him. Motivated by this event, Batman decided to look for the gang and put an end to it, but upon arriving at the bar where they met, he noticed that a small masked boy was attacking the thieves. Bruce was surprised by the boy's abilities as he was defeating men twice his age and size. At one point, the boy took a gun and prepared to kill them. It was here that Batman intervened to stop him. Later, the boy introduced himself as Jason Todd and told her what had happened with his brother. Noticing that Jason was alone, and still being depressed by Dick's absence, Bruce decided to adopt him and train him to be the new Robin. The problem was that Bruce was blinded by Grayson's absence, which prevented him from seeing that Jason was much more violent than the first Robin. Alfred and Barbara noticed this, but decided to ignore it at Batman's request. The butler himself acknowledged that Jason was as good as Dick was at his age, but he lacked the calm, and compassion that the first Robin did possess. One day, Jason stole Dick's suit and used it to help Batman defeat Firefly. Although the villain was defeated, Bruce did not let this insolence go and reprimanded Jason. They both argued to such an extent that Alfred himself had to intervene and ask them to clarify this, or rather they should put aside this life of fighting crime. Jason managed to convince Bruce by arguing that he is not and will never be Dick Grayson, but he would always try to continue with the ideals that Robin's suit represented. After making his arguments, Batman decided to give him a chance, but Jason did not respect his deal. As time passed, Jason adapted Robin's costume to his tastes, changing the black boots and mask for red ones. Furthermore, he insisted on punishing criminals so that they would think twice before committing a crime again. While villains like the Puppeteer were bothered by breaking their things, The more dangerous ones like the Penguin were thrown from a moving helicopter. Everything got worse one Halloween where Batman, Batgirl and Robin faced Scarecrow. Even after the villain surrendered, Jason continued to beat him and even caused him to fall from a window without showing the slightest remorse. Batman managed to save him and tried to convince himself that Jason acted like this because he was under the effect of the Scarecrow's gas. Alfred made him see the truth and convinced him that Jason was not yet ready to wear the suit. The boy heard their conversation and decided to leave because he thought they would never trust him. Bruce tried to stop him, but he hit him hard and escaped on one of the motorcycles. From here, Jason began working alone and became even more violent. The Clock King nearly had one of his hands cut off and killed Killer Croc with a machine gun. All of this caused Batman's reputation to be tarnished, and Gordon himself warned him that if he did not control the boy, the police would be forced to arrest him. Unfortunately, the young Wonder's actions also attracted the attention of the Joker and Harley Quinn, who were not happy about the way the new Robin treated criminals. They both guided the boy into a trap where the Joker proceeded to violently beat him with a crowbar. Harley noticed that this time the clown was acting more violent than normal and tried to stop him, but the Joker ordered his men to keep her away. Batman arrived to help her and Harley informed him about what was happening. She even offered to help him save Robin. Bruce refused and decided to go save him himself. Upon entering the place, he found Robin seriously injured. The Joker ordered his men to stop Batman, and in the struggle, they caused several gas tanks to explode. The clown was trapped under his car completely unconscious, while Jason was saved by Bruce. Before leaving, Jason gave Bruce the same crowbar that the Joker had hit him with and asked him to kill the clown in revenge. Instead, Batman used it to lift the car and save the Joker. Annoyed, Jason confronted Batman and accidentally threw some tanks near the fire, causing them to explode. Bruce looked all over the place for Jason, but only found part of Robin's suit. He returned again and again looking for any clue that Jason survived, but after a couple of months, he had to accept that Jason Todd had died. Later in the story, it is revealed that the explosion knocked him into one of the Joker's balloons, which began to float and carried him away from Gotham, thus confirming that, unlike the main universe, Jason Todd did not die at the hands of the Joker. Jason spent the next 4 years recovering from his injuries and plotting his revenge. First, he guided Bruce to the bar where they met, where he revealed that he had adopted the identity of Red Hood in honor of his brother Danny. After this, he blew up the place to keep him busy. He then went to the Batcave dressed as Batman to kidnap Tim. Although the new Robin discovered his deception, neither he nor Alfred were able to defeat him. By the time Bruce recovered, Jason had already kidnapped the Joker, incapacitated Batgirl, and left a trail for Batman, which led him to a trap. Very similar to what happened in the main universe. Jason orders Bruce to kill the Joker or he will kill him instead. For his part, Tim was put in a box that is being filled with water to slowly drown him. Bruce and the Joker refuse to participate in Red Hood's games, so Jason decides to shoot the clown in the shoulder. Meanwhile, Tim used his cape to block the water from entering, which increased the pressure until the glass box broke and he managed to escape. Unbeknownst to Jason, the Joker had a tracking device, which he used to lure one of his deputies to save him. Due to the fight, the sewers where they were began to collapse and the water swept them all away. Tim managed to save Jason from the fall and Bruce went to rescue him. But Jason refused to accept his help because he knows that his adoptive father expected him to change, and he knew that he will always be a person full of hate and resentment, so he left. Fall and asked Bruce to forget it. Despite his apparent death, Jason Todd survived thanks to Deathstroke, who kept an eye on him after his encounter with Batman. Slade helped Red Hood in the hopes of using him in his future revenge against the Dark Knight, so Jason Todd's story in the Timmverse still continues. Jason's look as Red Hood in this universe is extremely similar to the character's classic costume in the main DC universe. He has a brown jacket with a red bat on the back, black pants, gloves, and black boots. He is even armed with a pistol, which he carries in a side holster, but he only has one instead of the usual two. Unlike Jason Todd from the comics, this version does not have red hair, but she used to dye a strand of her hair brown, which is why she has that discoloration on her head. In case you didn't know, the original Jason Todd is a redhead. But Bruce suggested he dye his hair black so his enemies wouldn't find out he was a new Robin. In this series they decided to give it a little twist, although it does not affect its aesthetics, which is inspired by Jason's first appearance after his return during the events of Batman Hush. Batman: The Adventures Continue was a story co-written by Alan Burnett and Paul Dini, a writer who worked on both animated series and is co-creator of Harley Quinn. So you can consider this story as part of the canon of the animated series at the moment. The art was done by Ty Templeton and it really lives up to what is seen in the animated series. So it is a very enjoyable story if you are a fan of the classic cartoon, plus being co-written by Dini gives it some merit. As of the day this video was uploaded, Batman: The Adventures Continue has 3 volumes under its belt and we are waiting for a 4th to be announced. So we could still see the return of Jason Todd in the future. If you have already read this story, tell us what you thought and if you are happy with Jason's inclusion in the Batman the Animated Series canon.